The final exam papers were being returned in class. Everyone was excited. Some students smiled as they saw their marks. Some sighed in disappointment. But Ayan, a quiet and serious boy, just looked down at his paper silently. He was one of the top students in school. He studied hard. He never cheated. He never lied. But as he checked his answers, something didn't feel right. The teacher had given him full marks on a question that he knew he had left blank. He flipped the pages again. No doubt, the teacher made a mistake. Ayan had gotten 92 out of 100, but if the marks were corrected, his score would drop to 86. He stared at the paper. His friend Zane leaned over and said, "You lucky. 92. Wow, bro." Ayan didn't smile. "There's a mistake," he whispered. Zane laughed. "So, just be happy. Why fix something when it helps you?" But Ayan couldn't ignore it. All his life, his parents had taught him, character matters more than marks. After class, Ayan quietly walked to the teacher's desk. Miss Sana, the math teacher, looked up. "Yes, Ayan." He handed over the paper and said, "I think there's a mistake. You gave me marks on a question I didn't answer." She took the paper, scanned it quickly, and frowned. "I see," she said slowly. Ayan waited, expecting her to say thank you or correct the mistake. But instead, she said, "Go wait outside the principal's office." Ayan blinked. "But I just..." She didn't explain. Heart pounding, he walked out and sat on the bench outside the office. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, Principal Ferris called him in. The principal's face was cold. He looked down at Ayan's paper, then up at him. "Ayan, why did you bring this to the teacher?" "I thought it was the right thing," Ayan replied softly. "I didn't want to take marks I didn't earn." Ferris narrowed his eyes. "Or were you trying to confuse the system to get more marks? Were you planning to ask for a recheck and gain benefit?" "What? No, sir," Ayan said quickly. "I just..." The principal cut him off. "This is very serious. You brought up a grade issue without permission, and you made the teacher feel accused." "I didn't mean that," Ayan whispered. His hands were shaking now. "We're suspending you for 3 days," the principal said firmly. "We can't allow students to challenge the exam process like this." Ayan was frozen. His mouth fell open. "But I told the truth. You may leave." Without another word, Ayan walked out. The hallway was empty. It felt like the walls were closing in. He couldn't breathe properly. His chest felt tight. Why was this happening? He had done the right thing. When he reached home and told his parents, they didn't speak at first. His mother looked like she wanted to cry. His father just stared at him. "You're suspended, for being honest," his mother finally whispered. His father shook his head. "We're proud of you, son. But this isn't fair. Something doesn't feel right." The next day, Ayan stayed home while the rest of his class took part in school activities. His phone buzzed with messages. He got suspended for cheating. Why would he tell the teacher about the marks? Maybe he tried to change his grade. His best friend Zane didn't reply at all. Suddenly, Ayan was alone. His honesty had become a problem. But deep inside, Ayan felt something was wrong, not with him, but with the school. Why had they punished him so quickly? Why had they been afraid of one mistake being reported? Lying on his bed, Ayan whispered to himself, maybe this wasn't just a mistake after all. He didn't know it yet, but this moment would lead him to uncover something much bigger, something that would shake the whole school. The news of Ayan's suspension spread through the school like wildfire. By the time students entered the classroom the next morning, whispers had already begun. "Did you hear?" One girl whispered. "Ayan tried to cheat the system," another replied. Even though no one had all the details, everyone had an opinion. His desk sat empty, and students looked at it with mixed feelings. Some were shocked, others didn't care, but most of them believed what they heard. His best friend, Zane sat quietly beside the empty chair. He hadn't spoken to Ayan since the suspension. Part of him felt guilty, but the other part was scared. Scared of being judged for standing with him. The teacher entered, looked at the class, and said nothing about Ayan. That silence felt louder than any words. At home, Ayan sat at his study table, but his books remained closed. His phone kept buzzing with messages. Most were cold. "So sad, man. Why'd you even open your mouth? People don't report their own marks, unless they have a plan. You fooled us all." Some messages hurt more than others, like the one from a classmate he helped last year. "I trusted you. Now I feel stupid." Ayan turned the phone off. He looked at the framed photo on his wall, him with his father, both smiling, holding a certificate for honesty from a school competition 2 years ago. He remembered the words his father had told him that day. Truth can feel heavy, but the people who carry it are strong. But right now, Ayan didn't feel strong. He felt small, misunderstood, alone. Later that evening, Ayan's father received a call from the school office. Principal Ferraz wanted a meeting. The next morning, Ayan and his parents entered the principal's office. The principal was polite this time, almost too polite. "We are reconsidering the suspension," he said with a thin smile. "Why now?" Ayan's father asked. "Well," the principal said slowly, "we believe there was some confusion, but we still need to be careful about students interfering in exam processes." "But my son didn't interfere," Ayan's mother said firmly. "He just told the truth." The principal cleared his throat. "We'll review it, but I suggest Ayan stay quiet about this issue. It may cause more trouble." Ayan looked up. That sentence felt strange. "Why would truth cause trouble?" he asked softly. The principal's smile vanished for a second. Then he looked at the clock and ended the meeting. Something was off. Ayan felt it in his gut. That night, Ayan sat alone on the balcony. The city lights blinked far away, but his mind was somewhere else. Why did the principal seem nervous? Why was the school more concerned with him reporting the mistake than the mistake itself? Suddenly, he remembered something strange. When he was walking out of the principal's office that day, he had seen a red folder on Miss Sana's desk. It had a sticker on it that said, "Final Grades." And for just a moment, he had seen another paper inside, one that looked like a spreadsheet. He remembered seeing a few familiar names and numbers that didn't match what some students had said they got. What if, he whispered to himself, there are more mistakes? Or worse, what if they weren't mistakes at all? His heart beat faster. He picked up his phone, opened his notes app, and wrote just 3 words. Find the truth. Ayan didn't know how yet, but he had decided one thing. He would not stay silent. Whatever the cost. Ayan couldn't sleep that night. His mind kept circling back to that red folder he saw on Miss Sana's desk. It was just for a second, but he clearly remembered the label. Final Grades, Class 10. Why would the school be hiding grade errors? And why was he the only one being punished for telling the truth? The next morning, Ayan's suspension was still in place, but he told his parents he wanted to go to school library just to read. They trusted him. They didn't know he had a plan. When Ayan reached school, the security guard gave him a strange look but didn't stop him. He walked through the hall quickly, his eyes sharp. It was still early. No students in the corridor. Teachers were in the staff room. Ayan took a quiet turn and reached the staff room door. Through the small glass window, he saw Miss Sana. She was talking to another teacher, and the red folder was there, on the table beside her. Ayan's heart raced. He couldn't go in. That would be crazy. But then he remembered something. The staff room also had a back entrance, barely used. He had seen cleaners use it. 5 minutes later, Ayan carefully entered through the back door. No one saw him. He hid behind the cupboard inside the storage room connected to the staff room. He waited, holding his breath. His palms were sweaty. His heart pounded in his ears. After a few minutes, Miss Sana and the other teacher left. The staff room was empty. Now was the moment. Ayan slowly stepped out of the storage room and moved to the table. The red folder was right there. He opened it quickly and flipped through the pages. What he saw shocked him. The marks on those papers were different than what students were told. Some students had marks added. Some had extra marks for questions they got wrong. One name caught his eye. Zain. Zain's actual score was 68, but in the final report card, it showed 85. Another name, Hina. Actual score 73, shown as 90. Ayan whispered, "This is not a mistake. This is cheating." He took out his phone and clicked photos of the pages. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. Panic. He quickly put the folder back and ran toward the back door, just in time. No one saw him. Later that day, Ayan sat in his room, staring at the photos. His hands trembled. He realized something even darker. Only some students had fake marks. Not all. Why? He made a list of names from the folder. Zain, Hina, Rayhan. And then it hit him. All those students had one thing in common. Their parents were rich, powerful, or had some connection to the school board. Now Ayan understood. The grades were manipulated for those students. He wasn't suspended because he reported a mistake. He was suspended because he accidentally exposed a system. A dirty system. One that helped the rich and punished the honest. But now, Ayan had proof. He stared at his phone screen. He had two choices now. Stay quiet, go back to class, and forget this ever happened. Speak out, and risk everything. He took a deep breath. Then he wrote a message to the school board's complaint number. He didn't give his name. He just attached the photos and typed one line. "Please look into grade manipulation in class 10. Then he hit send. His fingers shook. His heart pounded. What had he just done? Ayan sat still after sending the anonymous message. His phone was silent. No reply. No buzz. Just quiet. He didn't know what would happen next. Would they ignore it? Would they trace it back to him? His thoughts were spinning, but deep inside, he felt something new. Strength. For the first time since his suspension, he felt like he had done something right. The next morning, school felt different. Students whispered even more than before. Teachers looked stressed. Something was going on. Zain met Ayan outside the school gate. "Hey man," Zain said slowly, "did you hear? Someone told the school board there's cheating in our grades." Ayan kept his face calm. "Really?" Zain nodded. "The principal is super tense. He had a closed-door meeting today." Ayan asked, "Do you think it's true?" Zain laughed nervously. "Who knows? But, I mean, my parents do donate to the school sometimes. Maybe some teachers help out. You know, just to keep things smooth." Ayan didn't respond. He just looked away. He knew now. Even some students were aware of the unfair system, but they called it help. Later that day, Principal Ferris stood in front of the entire class 10. His face looked tired, eyes puffy, voice firm. "Students, there has been a complaint about grade issues. The board is reviewing things. I want to be very clear. False complaints waste time. And if we find out who did it, there will be serious action." Ayan's hands turned cold. Was that a warning for him? No one else moved. The room was silent, until one girl raised her hand. It was Hina. "Sir," she said, voice shaking, I think my marks were too high." The whole class turned to look at her. "I thought it was a mistake," she continued, "but I didn't say anything. Now I feel that." The principal stared at her. Everyone stared. Ayan's eyes widened. Someone had finally spoken up. Another boy stood up. "I think the same happened to me," he said. And one by one, hands slowly started rising. Outside the class, Ayan sat alone under the old tree behind the building. His heart was full. Maybe the system wasn't too big to fight after all. Maybe truth just needed a small spark. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. It read, "You made a mistake. Stay out of this. Last warning." A chill ran down Ayan's spine. Someone knew. Someone was watching. And now, they were angry. Ayan stared at the message on his phone. "You made a mistake. Stay out of this. Last warning." His fingers froze. He looked around. Was someone watching him now? His heart beat faster. His hands felt cold. But he didn't delete the message. Instead, he took a screenshot. This wasn't just about grades anymore. Now it was about fear. Someone was trying to scare him into silence. But who? That evening, Ayan told his father everything. At first, his father didn't believe it. "You were suspended for being honest?" he asked, surprised. Ayan nodded. "And now someone's sending me threats." His father sat in silence for a moment. Then he said something Ayan never expected. "I'm proud of you." Ayan looked up. His father continued, "Most people walk away when things get hard. But you stood for truth. We'll handle this together." Those words gave Ayan strength. Next day at school, things got even more serious. An investigation team from the board had arrived. Students were being called in one by one. Teachers were nervous. Miss Sana looked pale. Ayan sat quietly, waiting for his turn. Suddenly, the school counselor, Miss Rita, called him aside. "I need to talk to you," she said gently. They went to her office. "I know you sent the message," she said softly. Ayan's eyes widened. "How?" "I saw you take the photos, and I recognized the writing style in the complaint." Ayan was silent. "I'm not here to punish you," she added. "I want to help." Ayan looked at her. He didn't know if he could trust her. She opened a drawer and showed him a document. It was a list of students and donation amounts. Next to each name was a teacher's name and a changed score. "Someone has been doing this for years," she said, "but no one spoke up. Until now." Back in class, whispers were louder. Zain avoided eye contact with Ayan. Hina gave him a small nod, like a silent thank you. Miss Sana didn't show up for class. The principal's face looked more serious than ever. Something big was happening behind those walls. That night, another message came. But this one was different. It read, "You think you're smart. You don't know who you're messing with." This time, Ayan didn't freeze. He opened his camera, looked straight into the lens, and recorded a video. In it, he said, "My name is Ayan. I didn't cheat. I just told the truth. If anything happens to me, this video will go to the police and the media." He saved it to the cloud. The fight wasn't over, but Ayan wasn't scared anymore. He was ready. The next morning, Ayan walked into school with a different feeling. There was tension in the air. The usual chatter was gone, replaced by nervous whispers. Ayan had done everything he could. He knew that things were changing, but he didn't expect them to change this fast. As he entered the school gates, a group of reporters stood outside, their cameras flashing. Ayan's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect the media to show up. Was this the result of his video? Had they found out? Before he could walk in, someone from the press called out his name. "Are you Ayan from Class 10? Is it true you're exposing the cheating at your school?" The reporter shouted. Ayan stopped. For a moment, his mind went blank. He didn't know what to say. But before he could answer, Principal Ferez walked out from the school doors. His face was pale, his eyes tense. "Students, please go inside. The media is not allowed here," the principal ordered, waving his hands in the air. Ayan saw the look in the principal's eyes. There was fear there, fear of the truth coming out. Later that day, the school assembly began. Ayan stood in the back of the hall, his hands sweaty. He was anxious, but he couldn't back down now. Principal Ferez walked to the front of the room. His face was cold. Behind him stood a few teachers, all looking uncomfortable. "Students, The principal said, his voice shaking, "There have been allegations of grade tampering. We have conducted a full investigation." Ayan's heart beat faster. Miss Rida, the counselor, stood beside him. She whispered, "This is it." The principal paused. The room was silent. "We regret to inform you that after reviewing the evidence," Principal Ferris continued, "we have found that some grades were manipulated, and we are deeply sorry for the students affected." The room gasped. Ayan couldn't believe his ears. He looked around the room. Some students were staring in shock. Others were whispering, shaking their heads. Zayn looked down, avoiding Ayan's gaze. Haina's face was pale. Then the principal spoke again. "We will be contacting the school board to remove those involved in this scandal. No one is above the rules." At that moment, Ayan felt a sense of relief. But it wasn't over. The truth had come out, but now came the real test. The next few days were a blur. The media kept reporting on the scandal, and the school had to answer for what happened. Teachers were questioned, and soon, 2 of them were suspended for their role in the grade manipulation. Ayan didn't feel joy. He didn't feel victory. He just felt tired. But when his friends, the students who had supported him, came up to him and gave him a small smile, he knew he had done the right thing. One afternoon, Ayan was walking home when he received a message from Miss Rida. It read, "You did something important, Ayan. The board has decided to change the grading system, and students will be given a chance to correct their mistakes. The school is being reevaluated." Ayan smiled. He had stood up. He had spoken out. And now things were changing. Ayan stood in front of the school, his hands tucked into his jacket pockets. The air was crisp, and the sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the school building. Everything had changed. The past few weeks had been overwhelming. After the revelations about the grade manipulation, the school had gone through a series of reforms. Teachers were replaced, new rules were put in place, and the grading system was completely revised. For the first time, students were given a fair chance. No more hidden favoritism, no more manipulation. Ayan had done what he thought was right, but now he felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. Not because of the changes, but because of the truth he had fought for. It wasn't about grades. It wasn't about being suspended. It was about standing up when no one else did. One afternoon, Ayan received a letter from the school board. He opened it carefully, his heart racing. It read, "Dear Ayan, we would like to thank you for your bravery in speaking up about the grade discrepancies at your school. As a result of your actions, significant changes have been made to ensure that no other student will face unfair treatment. You have inspired us all. We would like to offer you a scholarship to further your studies. Your honesty and integrity have made a lasting impact on our community." Ayan felt a wave of emotions. He showed the letter to his parents, who were both shocked and proud. "You did it, son," his father said, his voice filled with pride. Ayan nodded, but he knew the journey wasn't over. There were still many things to be done. The fight for fairness wasn't over. But this was just the beginning. The next day at school, the atmosphere was different. Students were talking more openly, and teachers seemed more approachable. The fear of speaking out was slowly fading. Ayan walked through the halls, and for the first time in months, he felt like he was walking toward something better. Zayn walked up to him with a grin. "Man, you did it. I can't believe it," he said. Ayan smiled. "It wasn't just me. It was everyone who spoke up." Haina joined them, her face brighter than it had been in days. "You changed everything," she said. "You made us believe we can make a difference." Ayan nodded, feeling a warmth inside. He had started this journey alone, unsure if anyone would listen. But now he realized that when one person stands up for what's right, others follow. The school year ended with a new sense of hope. Ayan had done something extraordinary, but he had also learned something important. Change doesn't happen by staying silent. It happens by speaking up, even when the world feels like it's against you. And as he walked across the stage during graduation, Ion couldn't help but feel grateful. For the first time, he felt like he wasn't just a student. He was someone who had changed the world around him, one small act of courage at a time.